Hi, and welcome to the 90th episode of Keen Minds, where we cover NBC's The Blacklist. This is Season 7, Episode 5, Norman Devane. I'm Jen, a.k.a. Takata Saeko.
And I'm Tessa. And I'm hearing that the episode left you warm, just not even hot or cold.
Yeah, it was alright. I'm uncomfortable with giving disease. The guy gave me the creeps, which is,
Oh my God.
that's a good thing. That's not a knock towards, he was creepy as all get out.
Yeah, I would say that he ranks out there with the people willing to exterminate human life and leaving themselves with the modern Adam and Eve.
Yep.
I don't even want to think how that would have worked with their descendants, because it would have to be basically all incest related. But we're not going to talk about that. He was creepy. Doing all this because one day he might get a flesh-eating bacteria. I guess, crazy people are bad, but intelligent crazy people are very scary.
When they finally just lose it, it's that thin line between genius and insanity. And which is funny, because I have very few notes this week, so I may be all over the place, who knows. But one of the few notes I have was, I liked Dembe and Red's at the same time answer they had. Dembe said he's an assassin, and Red's was he's a genius. And so, it goes to show the focus of either man on how they view humanity, and we've known for a long time that Dembe and Red have.
At the same time, Red is the same one that is going to. Dembe may say, he's evil, but Red is the guy who shoots him. So. There is that thing with Red. He may admire somebody for their brain. Doesn't mean that, hey, you're a genius. You're also evil, giving kids diseases. So, yeah.
I think if you start experimenting on kids, that kills it on Reds. As well it should.
Yeah. That was, you couldn't find yourself maybe some guys who's serving 150 years because they are child molesters to experiment on. I'll be all on board for that.
No, he wanted to go for the kids.
Yeah, kids. Yeah. If you're going to go for somebody just like you should go for that. At least the guys with 150 years for multiple murders closely go with somebody who helped somebody gas their own people.
I think that he went for the children because he found his in there. Because he saved the headmaster's son's life, and so he had someone to twist the arm up to get those kids.
And he probably was just panicking of having to touch somebody else, because at least the kid could murder.
He was all sorts of nuts.
Yeah.
I really liked that beginning sequence there when he leaves, because he gets that look and you're sitting there going, what's going on with this guy? Why is he got the funny look going on?
The way they did the camera work was very good. I like that.
It was impressive, yeah. I really enjoyed it. They've got... And I suppose that comes down to their directors that they use. I don't know. I don't follow directors very closely, so I'm not sure. But there have been several times that I've seen sequences like that, and I'm just like, that's just really well done. It's really well laid out, and this one was one of those. And coupled with the music.
I love the episode. For me, it worked very well. I was very pleased with the two lines, the Red, the stranger, and Dembe. The little site with Aram, and then the Blacklister.
So
I loved all of it. I thought it moved fast. It was entertaining. It was grabbing, and it dove out quite a bit of mythology too.
Yeah, I think so. With Mr. Bloom, as we shall call him, apparently. I have a feeling that is not the name he was born under.
No, I don't think that there are many people who use the name they're born under.
Especially not connected to Red. But yeah, the interesting thing is that I have actually changed... I had a pretty frustrated opinion with something having to do with Aram and... Elodie? Is that her name?
Elodie?
I've never heard that name before. I didn't even know that... I don't know.
It sounds like a medieval name, actually.
Yeah, maybe it's just like they really went
It's
back
an
there.
is an interesting name, but I didn't look it up.
Yeah.
I'm sure that it
It's
means all kind of fun things.
yeah, no. I'm not overly fond of the character, so I will
I think she's great.
okay, so do we want to start in on Rom? Let's just jump
Yeah,
into
let's
this.
go on around because around
So
is here it is around again going with this bad taste in chicks. I mean, hello, mister, you're just heading for disaster. One way or another.
I mean, everybody knows my opinions on the whole Rom dating a married woman thing. And one of the things that I really disliked about it was how okay everybody seems to be with this. They're just happy he's sleeping with somebody. I'm like, there need to be boundaries, folks. I have come to the conclusion that nobody on the task force is ever allowed to give dating advice ever again. Not Liz, not Wrestler, not Abram, nobody. Maybe Cooper. Maybe. But that's it. Because I don't think Cooper meant, hey, go hop into bed with the married woman whose husband is a quadriplegic. I don't think that's where he was going
whose
for.
husband is a quadriplegic because he thought to get into that.
We've had this argument. I'm not.
I don't know that he's quadriplegic as much as he has no idea what's going on. I think that he's one step above vegetable. I mean, there was like nothing on the eyes.
See, I disagree with you. I think there was a lot on the eyes, especially the first episode we saw him in. Anyway, regardless, you and I can argue about that till, Kingdom Come. I really prefer not to because I'll just get angry again. But
don't get angry.
I don't want to be angry. I've already had a frustrating afternoon.
So, the interesting thing with this is that everybody seems happy. So that also tells you how. I mean, Aram started telling that Wrestler wanted him to date, so he put him in a dating site without him knowing, and then started vetting them and now they're both playing video games, because they're not dating anybody because nobody is as they seem to be. So Aram found this woman, and now everybody's just like, hey, at least you're dating somebody, and maybe that just tells you the level at which Aram had been like on his own thing, that everybody's just happy that he's not inside himself.
Yeah. And maybe, but it was interesting because no, go ahead, sorry.
Do you think that, because there he goes, and I know that the episode is talking about, fate and things that don't go the way, and things are always like some things happen just because they're supposed to happen. But here comes Elodie, or I don't even know how you pronounce that name. I think
Elodie.
Elodie, and that takes him to a wedding, which is the goddaughters of Mr. Bloom. And she takes the tags of Mr. Bloom, but tells Aram that they're on the groom's side. Hello, Mr. Bloom said that it was the goddaughter's wedding, and she said that the tags she picked up are from the groom's side. Is that?
That's a really good point. I was actually, this is what I was thinking of when I said that I've kind of done a 180 on something having to do with a Rom. When I watched it, I've watched it twice now, and both times through I was really frustrated because it felt like too much of a coincidence. I know this talks a lot about fate, about things happening for a reason, but this also isn't a fantasy show. There's a line between stuff that happens and just so coincidental that it's kind of a cheap trick in the writing. And I'm sitting there, I was really frustrated because you know how I feel about this writing team. I think there's a lot of talent there. Cheap tricks are below them. And so I was really frustrated with it, and it was Whimsy and Something on Tumblr that made a comment, and I went, oh my gosh, you're right. I think you may be onto something. She called her Janet 2.0. And that Aram's been targeted again, and that she knew exactly what she was doing. And honestly, for me, that's the only way this is gonna make sense, because the number of things that would have had to have fallen into place in all of Washington, D.C., assuming they're in D.C. or surrounding areas, in the metropolis that is D.C., they're gonna just randomly show up to a wedding that they weren't invited to, happen to pick up those tags when he had just decided to go and invite the guy. And that's in a ROM who's on the task force gets that information. If there wasn't someone moving behind the background there, whether it was Elodie, whether it's someone using her for something, I'm starting to think that Elodie is, that there's something very Janet-ish about her, or Elise, or whoever would want to call her. I'm with Whimsy on that. I think there is something going on there, because there's otherwise way too many coincidences. It doesn't fit with the world that they've built for the last 6.5 years.
It certainly feels like that, and it feels like Red wanted to prevent the stranger from doing so, from getting that information. So I would not be surprised.
Well, yeah. No.
So that he got the information. He gave Aram the other information about finding Masuda, but he didn't give the information about Birdie. So I find it interesting that what would happen, and I think it's very rare in the show that I cannot form an opinion. Usually I got strong feelings about it, but this episode, in the last few things that have happened, including Liz with the mom, and I watched today, I didn't do like a full rewatch like the whole episode as it aired, but I rewatched a lot of scenes from this episode, and like all in disorder, and from episodes before, and I'm getting this feeling that Liz knows exactly what she's doing with the woman across the hall, that there's something in, maybe not when Elodie got involved with Aram, but certainly about this occasion. And I think that Red wanted somebody on his team to get that information, because if it had been, she left his side, so that seems to me that she was creating an opportunity for somebody to approach him. It just seems, that, and also that Bloom was late because Red was dropping him at his house, and so a little later. So the wedding might not even be in the area where they're. I don't know where they are, but certainly it seems too many coincidences in this episode. You get on the Red side that we will talk about it. We get that weird shooting. Now Red, instead of giving them, now he supposedly doesn't have that information, but he gives Frank Bloom the other information about finding Masuda. It just feels. Maybe Red doesn't trust him.
I was going to say, Frank made the comment. I'm just going to call him Frank from here on. Good old Frank. We'll call him Frank. He made the comment.
Doesn't look like a Frank.
He does not, no. But until I get another name, that or Bloom.
Frank will do.
But he made the comment in the plane when Red was talking about fate and such. He said, yeah, try saying that to someone that doesn't know you as well. You never leave anything up to fate. And that... While that's not entirely accurate, because, he does get caught unawares at times. He's human. His plans do not always go step for step every time. But a consistency with Red is how well he lays the pieces out for things to work out in his favor. He doesn't just leave it up to fate. And so that would make a whole lot more sense if Elodie was one of his, because...
Or just, pay to, you know what?
Yeah.
Get around, call him, invite him to the wedding, and make sure that you get the Bloom tax. I'll delay the guy, and that's it. So it felt to me that there was something going on in that area. And also is Aram who Red trusts. But it goes with all this. I mean, it's like these people can't find a single person to date that is not either an actor that does, it's like not shady people. They're all die. Because, I mean, now I'm starting to wonder, what was going on with Audrey?
That's why they had to kill her, is because she was too normal.
Yeah, if you're normal, you won't survive.
Poor Audrey. Well, I mean, I made the comment for years. I said that if Tom really had just been a third grade teacher, third or fourth, it switched.
He would have died a lot before.
He really would have just died in the pilot and been done with it. I mean, if he'd been normal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
He couldn't have kept up. I mean, and that's the problem. And Audrey wouldn't have been able to keep up. It's the reason she left to begin with, was because it was too intense and he was too obsessed with it. And then turn around and it's what got her killed.
Yeah. Should we do the wrestler now? Or do you have anything more on around?
I don't think so. No.
How about wrestler? He had very interesting things going on today.
I think it was a good episode for wrestler. I will continue to laugh about what he's been waiting to say. This is going to be a gas. Because just the look on his face was so priceless.
Well, I found that totally fascinating. Because to me, we're going towards the end. I mean, call it this season, call it next season. This is ending.
Yeah.
And I find it interesting that wrestler is now saying something that Red said for the first time in 102. And that he had wanted to do that. While Red had finally said something that wrestler says all the time. Wrestler is saying a line that a criminal said. Red is saying a line that cops are saying. So it feels to me that they have now merged at the center, and it just felt, to me, it felt like it was, there is that point where you're writing or reading, and you're entering the denouement phase. You're collecting all your threads. Mm-hmm. You're starting the ending, and you, as a reader, as a writer, you can always see when that is coming. It's that point where it's like, now we're starting. And to me, that line felt like it.
I agree with you. I like the way you put it. It just, the meeting in the middle. Yeah. The legal side of it and the illegal side of it and how they've merged. Because, I mean, we've just seen the last couple episodes how far wrestlers come. From where
that was great. Instead of laughing, put the face in. It's like, okay, I'm going to.
Oh, I mean, season 1 wrestler would have just argued and argued and argued and argued and argued. This one's just like, I know,
even
I'm not getting.
Even lowered the gun and said whatever. So, oh yeah, well, I'm outsmarting you this time. I'm going with you.
Fight
and
smarter,
the interesting outcome is now we have 3 parties coming for 3 different information, and he got the same information that Red. So now Red and the task force are both going at the same information.
Do you think that Ress looked at the file? The medical file?
Oh, yeah.
I do, too.
Yeah.
But maybe because he made the comment earlier. He said, to lie to Elodie. And Liz says you should start off a relationship by lying. He said, no, I think that lying will salvage the relationship. And then turns around and, I think he looked at it. I think he knows.
Yeah.
He will do with that exactly what he did when he was chasing down Katarina earlier. Hold it from Liz so that she can have her happy moment, which honestly Liz's happy moment right now is she stuffed her face so deep into the sand that she can't see what's going on.
Or she's playing a game of her own.
But from wrestler's point of view, it certainly looks like she's stuffing her face in the sand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why her speech is becoming a little sandy. Her throat is a little, What? Yeah, she's there, but, Red does it too. Yeah. Now, do you think that it was a bad result, or you think that Red is hiding that from the stranger?
I do think it's a bad result. I think he's been working he's been on pills, he's been having his blood taken. I don't think I think something, at least they want us to think it's a bad result.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. the way Wrestler acted, I couldn't tell if he had peaked and saw bad things or good things. I just couldn't tell. This was an episode where I couldn't tell a lot of things. I love them. I love episodes where I don't have a strong reaction and I have to go back and I this goes takes me back to over this summer this rewatch that I rewatch all of Jennifer's scenes and I after done them I'm like I still don't understand. There is something I'm not seeing. And I'm not easily stumped most of the time when it comes to reading body language, but I knew something was wrong. And sure, I mean, it took me like going back and rewatching them again. This episode has the same feel to it. Like, there is so much going under the surface.
We have missing pieces to the puzzle, so we can't get a full picture of it.
Yeah. So it will be interesting whether Red then starts looking for this guy or whether he's laying a trap for Frank. But there was a lot going on.
I am really interested in the whole, and I think once we figure out who Frank Bloom is, we'll get more on that, because he made the comment at the end of season 6 when we first met him as the stranger. He said, he said that he trusted him. And if you remember, I said at the time, I said, the moment he said that, I don't trust him. And I don't know. I'm actually more fond of him now, I think. I am leaning towards him being Ilya. He just looks so much like him.
Yeah. And I don't think that Ilya was his actual name either.
It could be, yeah.
My feel for him. I mean, let's recap what we know of him. What do we know of Frank Bloom?
We know that Red told him that he trusted him.
Yes,
and we don't know if he actually does. Yeah,
he loved him because he can trust him.
Yeah, that they were young together. Did they say children?
When we were children, yes.
Yeah. That he is at least aware that Red has a medical situation. That
he's retired.
Yeah, that he's retired. So that means that we got the impression he was a field operative of some kind, because he was talking about being out there, being in the field with the gun going off and everything happening, that he'd left all that behind.
And he was pretty good with a draw.
Yeah, he was, he wasn't bad. And so,
he also know that he Red and his wife are on more than hello terms.
Yep.
Red is aware that he hasn't been sleeping, that there is a goddaughter wedding. So they seem to be a very familiar relationship with them.
Yeah, and I also think that this Linda, the wife, assuming that's the wife, because
it could be a daughter.
I mean, he just said Linda. And so the woman that showed up with him at the wedding is definitely the wife, because that was Mrs. Bloom, was the tag that they got. But there's no guarantee with the blacklist. If there's not a guarantee, it could be something else. There's no guarantee that Linda is actually his wife. It sounded like it. That is an easy assumption, but you never know.
I got a feel for him. That yes, he is that character that we saw named Ilya, but I don't think that character worked in the Russian embassy. First, there wasn't no Russian embassy in the Cold War. It was an embassy of the USSR. And definitely, if he had been an employee of the Russian embassy, he would not have gone anywhere without at least 6 or 7 agents from a lot of agencies behind him, tailing him and hearing his conversations. The idea that they would have advertised in public address system his name, that is so beyond anything. I mean, it would have been so crowded you wouldn't be able to like get his hands on the somebody else would have got there before him and said that he was Ilya and get the whatever they were getting. It's totally uncertain. So I definitely think that he may be a guy who used that name Ilya And I think obviously that's the way that Katerina knows him from across the hall, knows him, because she was able to say, "Oh, this is the guy who can help me." And he's also able to track people.
Yeah, and he's the one that Red's going to right now. I mean, even above Glenn. I mean, Glenn's really good at tracking people, but this is a guy that has come out of retirement to find Blonde Cat and to find it was the other
Now
person.
he's Frank Masuda.
Yeah.
So we have certainly. I got a feel for him. I got a feel for him of State Department or CIA, maybe Navy intelligence.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely a guy in intelligence. Not necessarily a desk jockey, but could have been. I mean, he was good in the field.
Or not.
Let me ask you this: you're a gun person. I'm a gun person. Do you think that shooting was accidental?
No.
It was hilarious.
That comes from a character point. His whole reaction, everything we know about Red, he is a gun person. He is incredibly talented at the way he handles his weapons. He knew the weapon. He didn't just accidentally fire it off and shoot the man in the head.
He pointed it when he was seeing it. What he was doing was looking at and that shot was maybe a foot from Frank. I think he didn't want this guy to tell more than he did.
I agree. I mean, he got what he got, and then when he got the blood splatter all over Frank, so that he had to go wash up, and it gave him time to call the task force and give them that information.
Yeah.
I think it was very well planned, and it goes back to what we were talking about Elodie and Aram and setting everything up. That he may say
leave things to chance,
but he doesn't, no. And he's very good at not leaving things to chance. So,
but appearing that that's how he gives that impression of being omniscient. Is because he's so good at creating things that look that they just happen when we know there is a lot of planning behind.
Yep. I mean, he's very quick, he's very clever, and I mean, he couldn't have planned on that specific gun and that he was going to go and sit there. Like, I mean, it's not like he had every step planned out, but the opportunity presented itself, and there it went. But Dembe, his reaction with the Raymond, Dembe knew exactly what he was doing. And that's, if nothing else, Dembe gave it away that Red knew.
Yeah, there was also a lot of shiftiness in the eyes of Frank Bloom. In the scene in the plane, both scenes of the plane, there was, the plane and the car. There was something in the eyes, the way he moved quickly, eyes side to side, which is usually is shiftiness, is somebody who's lying. There's and then back in the apartment that it wasn't good and that he couldn't sleep. It just felt like, I don't think that he's in cohorts with blonde Katerina. I don't think he's at all. I think he's covering some other bases. I don't know what he's doing. I have no idea. I love it. I love it when I'm stumped because it just gives me more to chew. But it just had that feeling that this guy knows exactly what he's doing, and they're just good. And I have a feeling that we found the person that if somebody told Katerina that, if Fred is Reddington and somebody told Katerina that he was dead, I think we found out who did. I think it's Frank.
Yeah,
something about Frank is like he knows Liz's Masha. He knows Dom. He knows Red from childhood. They seem to have a very close relationship. He knows the wife. It just seems there's a lot there.
Yeah, and we don't have nearly enough to make...
No, this was a setup episode. Yeah, this was a setup episode. Now we're going to see what happens with that information, and that would basically tell us what's going on, because the task force is going after Masuda. The no, I'm sorry. Yes, the task force is going after Masuda. Aram had that information, but he doesn't know what it means. And the stranger is going after him. So I wonder how that is going to go, because now both sides, the stranger and the task force, are both tracking the same person.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I actually kind of like Frank.
I like Frank a lot. He's great.
Now, do you think he's going to survive all this?
No.
I don't either. Like,
no,
I like him, and I'm sad, but... don't think
no, it's either he's going to die or he will go in a coma, or he will disappear.
Not another coma. Yeah. Please, no coma.
Fake his death. Yeah, he's not long for the world, that's for sure. I also had another thing about, now we know an alias that Blanca Terina had, Constant Bruckner. Now, that Constant and Constantine both are supposed to be Rostov, and both are blonde, and Constance and Constantine, that's the same name, masculine and feminine form. Isn't that interesting? I think they're brothers. They're siblings. Constantine and her.
You mean siblings?
Yeah, siblings. Okay. No, brothers. Like, he's her brother.
I was going to say, are we getting into Red Arena here?
No. You know what? If one day I'll get to Red Arena, but all the clues that I've seen, yes, there's some very heavy-handed red herrings.
And I think that's exactly what it is. I think they know it's become a popular theory, and they do love playing cat and mouse.
Thick. It's going on with one of those trousers, like when they do it in the walls, just to leave, like, I don't know, like big thick things. That's how it's going. It's not heavy detail. It's just, here comes another arena clue. Take cover, because it's gonna hit you on the head.
Oh, like a wrecking ball.
Yeah, that could be too. Whatever heavy instrument that is going to, if it's like a loaf for one of those German festivals when they feed like 1,500 people with one loaf of bread. Yeah, that's what they sound like when they hit you.
Oh, goodness.
So, what else do you have?
Not a whole lot.
What do you made about all those kids being B negative? I think they're setting up wrestlers arc like that. We're going back to blood. We're going back to B blood, which is now wrestler red. and Constantine. He's B positive, red, and wrestler B negative. Let me ask you. Give me your chance that red is actually related to wrestler.
I've heard that theory before. It'd be interesting. I think wrestler might twitch a little.
Oh my god! Yeah, I'm your lost uncle. Yeah,
that would go over well. That kind of family reunion. I've heard that tossed around before. I'm not opposed to it. You and I've talked about quite a bit over the time that we think that Red was very specific in the task force he set up, not just with Liz. That Liz was the only one he called by name, but that he made sure that... because we saw him do it with Samar, but he made sure that the task force was made up of the people he wanted on there.
Mm-hmm.
And so... I think it'd be fascinating. I'm really looking forward to that episode. I love Russ. I've always felt like he needed...
When is he coming?
I don't know. Sometime. At some point. And spoiler alert, sorry. There's supposedly a Russ episode coming up. I mean, I don't know if that's really a spoiler.
No, because it's like we don't even know what it's about.
Yeah, it's Like, it's about wrestlers past. That's all we know.
Maybe it would be called Detroit.
Uh,
Or Tommy Marking.
oh, gosh. You know, years ago, a friend of mine who is a big wrestler fan, she and I co-wrote a story with Tom and Wrestler. I don't even remember at this point because it's been years since we wrote it, where Tom got looped into helping Wrestler track Tommy Markin down. It was so much fun to write.
I can imagine. I tell you, I think that what do you think? Give me your do you think it's going to be called Tommy Marking or Detroit?
Oh, I have no idea. I hope we're going back to Tom. I don't even know if we're going back to Tommy Markin. I hope so. I think that needs an answer. I thought that needed an answer for a long time. But I will take most anything on Wrestlers Past. That sounds like I'm opening up a can of worms there. I would love something. Oh, just because when you say that you want something, be careful. It's like making a wish with a genie. It could go for something you don't really want and you didn't even think of. No, I would love to know more about Tommy Markin and Wrestler's father's death. There was that, and I don't believe it was a throwaway line either. I think it did a lot for his character. I think that it spoke a lot about him, and we've seen the folded flag that he keeps that presumably was his father's. Mm-hmm. And so yeah. I hope that's what it is. Do you think that it's going to
be the way he remembered, that his father was a good cop and he was killed by a bad cop? Or you think that this being the blacklist, nothing will be as it seemed?
Nothing is that simple, especially with as far as wrestlers come into the gray at this point. It's going to be complicated, and it's going to be messy, because that's, like you just said, it's the blacklist. That's how they roll.
Mm. Yeah, I'm
excited for it.
I mean, we're getting a Michigan connection, which is a very interesting thing. It just seems like there is a lot. I mean, all of Red's childhood stories all seem to be centered. I mean, he had a summer job there, another summer job there. So at least his summers seem to have been spent in theirs. Yeah, it's something coming up. I'm sure it's going to be interesting, and I have a feeling that nothing will be as it seems. Like, for some reason, season 7, it gives me far more of an impression than any other season before that nothing we're seeing is as it seems. I have a feeling that we're going to get one of those mirrors flipped and suddenly everything we've seen is going to look very different. That's my thought. Do you have anything else?
I really don't. Liz didn't have a great deal in this. I mean...
We didn't see Blonde Cat?
No. We heard about Birdie.
Oh, yeah. We found the name of Birdie. It's Birdie Chernoff.
No, yeah, I was going to say Birdie's his real name.
His name, right? He's going by Gregory Flynn.
So, I mean, that's really all. Kind of like the last couple of episodes. I think that it'll be one of those that we'll look back and we'll have more once we have more of the pieces. Yeah,
we'll connect a lot more. What did you make of Wrestler lying to Liz? This is the second time he lied. Like, yeah, no, I didn't investigate anything. Nope, he must have Stark there because he's investing. So,
yeah,
he's lying.
I think it's exactly like that. I said that earlier, that, just like he did with Katarina when he was looking into it, I think that he knows about the medical report and that he's going to hold that back. Because honestly, sometimes with Liz, if you know she's going to fight you on it, I mean, Tom did it too. Tom held all of his cards, ended up getting him killed. But I'm not sure it would have done him much good if he told Liz, because she just would have gone straight to Red. But, I mean, that was his response as well, was withhold information from her because she's kind of a wild card. I love her. I love her dearly. And if this woman doesn't get, something of a, hopeful ending, I'm going to riot loudly and obnoxiously. But...
So we've been advised of.
Yes.
It will not come as a
so
surprise.
Loud, so obnoxious. No, there's no secret there. I will riot if there's a hopeless ending for Liz. But we've seen multiple people, and Red's done it as well, but withholding information from Liz because you can't always guarantee what direction she's going to go. Now,
is she going to stab you on the neck? Is she going to give you a kiss? Is she going to keep you prisoner, or are you going to blame you for something that she knows she did? Like, did you put Red in prison, wrestler? Because I know you'll be very happy. Meanwhile, no, it's me. Yeah, so it's Liz is a great character, but I mean, anybody who thinks that she's reliable, it's definitely doing drugs it shouldn't be doing.
No, she's a wild card, and so I think that's why wrestlers keeping it from her.
Yeah, definitely. Well, then I don't have anything else. I mean, it was a great episode. I loved it. It went fast. I enjoyed it very much. I enjoyed the strangers parts. Now we have a name for him, Frank Bloom. And it's interesting that Bloom was the name of Sonia Bloom, the scientist that was doing something with the drugs.
I knew I recognized it.
Yeah. And then we're getting a lot of Franks lately, including Naomi's husband and Frank Bloom. And there was more Franks. Oh, there is a Frank Masuda. There's a lot of Franks.
Yep. Well, that's all I've got.
That's all I got too.
Like
it was not a very contentious episode. Yay! I mean, we needed those. We need those that kind of set the stage for what's going on.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps this up. You can listen to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. You can talk to us on Facebook, on Tumblr, and Twitter.
And let us know if you want to, if you want us to address something or talk to us. We always love hearing from you guys. And until next week.
Love hearing from you guys. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.